my natural mother had an affair, produced me, and then, because of the circumstances, had me adopted.
David Dickinson was born in 1941, the illegitimate son of an Armenian woman, Eugenie Guleserian.
Having found out that I came from this Armenian stock, I've always wanted to know more about it. I mean, I know I'm quite dark now, I've been on holiday, but I do have olive skin anyway, and I think there's a lot that's come from the Armenian side.
David's grandfather by birth was Hrant Guleserian, a wealthy textiles merchant who came to Manchester from Istanbul.
I'm excited about the thought of tracing my grandfather's origins because I think that's what I'm about. I think I'm really East meets West in a way. There's a certain amount of English in me, the working classness of being brought up by an English family, and there's a little bit of this Orientalism, there's this Middle Eastern thing too that runs in the veins.
David Guleserian was adopted by the Dickinson family when he was a few months old.
I was brought up by Jim and Joyce Dickinson in Cheadle Heath, Stockport, which is close to Manchester, suburb of Manchester. When I was a lad growing up there, I suppose it was a typical, I don't know, working to middle-class type of suburb. I came here as a little boy from Devon, where we had lived for some time. My mother had a hairdresser's shop there, and I was only young when we moved back up here.
The Dickinsons moved in with Joyce's mother, David's beloved Granny Empson.
243, there's 241. All kind of modernised now, isn't it? But that's it there. Blimey. I used to be in that little bedroom there on the right. Because my mother went out to work, was a hairdresser, and Jim sadly died when I was quite young, Granny Empson really was a major force in my life. I always felt a little different. I was a little bit more swarthy than the other kids, and I think it did raise a few comments. Dave the Wheels, I was called, because I was the guy that used to go around to all the scrap yards and buy prams. Now, boys in the area would come to Dave the Wheels because I would have the equipment to make your cart, your trasher, which was a soapbox car on wheels. I was always that little bugger that used to be trading. Nana used to say, be careful, otherwise you will wind up to be a spiv.
When David was 12, Jim died of cancer. Joyce began spending less and less time at home.
Joyce, my adopted mother, was a lovely lady, but I'm going to be honest with you and say, sadly, somehow I kind of moved away or lost her somewhere. I mean, I think the going out was trying to find a new life for herself. She'd be going out to a local pub or a cinema or whatever. I know that being sat in the kitchen with Granny, one often heard this, "Are you going out again? You should be here with this boy."
David didn't discover he was adopted until he was 11. By chance, he came across his birth and adoption certificates in his granny's bureau.
When I found the documents, the crisis meeting was held where Granny called in all the aunts and everyone seemed very concerned. and they did a very effective job because, first, a bit panicky. You know, what's this? But no, they reassured me, no, these are the circumstances and we wanted you and so forth. And so I think I was quite happy about that. It was also at that stage that the curiosity set in. Where have I come from? What kind of people were they? Why did they have me adopted? I think those are always the questions that a child's going to ask.
David's birth mother was Eugenie Gulesarian, better known as Jenny. His father is unknown. David traced Jenny in 1969 via a solicitor. They corresponded for 2 decades but never met. After Jenny died, David met her younger sister, his aunt Marie. She's told him much of the family history, but there are still many unanswered questions.
Hi, Marie.
David wants to find out more about the circumstances of his birth.
I remember first coming to see you, and all I had was my little document to prove who I was, you know. Of course, what I didn't realise, when I walked in the room, everyone went like, oh, cool, we know who you are.
I couldn't speak, because you're so much like your mum. And you had this hand full of documents, and you walked, it was this lounge, walked in and said, that's who I am.
Your father, my grandfather, I mean, what kind of a man was he? What's your recollections about him? I mean...
Very fair, very fair, would listen to you and pass judgment, and you got punished. We were never allowed to lie. Whatever you do, never lie to me, tell me, and I'll understand.
Right.
Very kind, but very, very strict.
What about the affair that Jenny had with this man who was my father?
Yes.
Was he married?
Yes. I think that it had been going on for quite a little time.
I see.
And, you see, Jenny, with that, it really was, as I repeat, one of the 7 deadly sins.
Of course.
To have a child.
And times were
very
different.
strict. Oh, yes.
Times were very
ridiculously silly.
Yeah.
You know, you were almost convict for doing something like that, which is abnormal, isn't it?
Why do you think she gave me up? Do you think it was the pressure from your dad, or could she not face your dad?
She could not face him. We came away and we went into digs, as they called them in those days, Jenny and I together. And I don't think he ever knew.
The next stage of David's journey takes him to Jersey to find out more about his mother. Shortly after David was born, Jenny met Bert Moss. They married in 1943. They had a son, Ken, a year later, and moved to Jersey. They decided never to tell anyone about David's birth. David was 28 when he traced Jenny, and they corresponded in secret. Whenever David offered to visit his mother, she refused. When she died, they'd never seen each other face to face.
I could have got on a plane at any time and came over here. I had all the confidence in the world. And I could have just walked up to the door. Hello, how you doing? Dave Dickinson's the name, adopted child. What's happening here, guys, you know? But I considered that, why should I do that? Why should I enter this woman's life and kind of turn it topsy-turvy and cause her grief? She was scared, she was nervous. She said to me that her husband could be rather difficult. The truth may be she just couldn't face up to meeting the child that you give away. And I think I respect that also.
David's half-brother Ken and his wife Sue live in the same house where Jenny and her husband Bert lived for 40 years. Ken and Sue only learnt of David's existence after Jenny's death in 1989.
the weather's this thing?
The only kind.
I was completely gobsmacked. I mean, it was just something unbelievable to learn that you've got a brother that you just didn't know existed, and it was just amazing. And then, of course, we met up in Jersey, didn't we?
That's right.
But that was quite an emotional experience for me,
I remember
really.
well.
Because I said to Marie, do you think I'll recognise David? I mean, does he look at all like Mum? And she said, oh, you won't believe the likeness. Well, of course, when you walked through the arrivals hall, I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing on end, because, I mean, it was just like a reincarnation of her.
You walked in, I burst into tears.
That's right.
I just could not believe it.
And I got my little letter out and showed you that, and then that brought more bloody tears. And then we were all crying around the table. And I mean, they were looking at us in the lounge of the hotel, going, "Who are these three?"
Well, I couldn't believe. I mean, you had this bundle of letters, and of course, you instantly recognised that notepaper and that handwriting. And I thought, here I am. I've had the love of this wonderful woman all through my childhood, and all you've got are these letters. Very emotional.
And I've always said, you know, Ken grew up, you know, with our mum. I feel like we'll be dead. And I had my mum, in a sense, so it seemed very wrong to just interrupt that, you know. On many occasions over the years on the telephone, you know, I just say, look, I'll come over and we can meet. And, oh, no. She used to say to me, people will put two and two together, people will recognise you. She was, you know, obviously alarmed at that thought.
It's a very, very sad story, isn't it, really? When you look back at it, and, you know, I do in some ways wish she had told me and she could have faced it, and, you know, we'd have all met up before, but just
I'm not sure that would have worked out as good as in fairy tales we think it would.
Yeah.
I think it could have caused a hell of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You know, everyone you speak to, on the odd occasion when you're across it, you speak to someone that they knew Jenny. They always said, what a nice woman, you know, bake cakes, did this, get all the kids round. She was a genuine nice woman. She wasn't a hard woman, she wasn't a callous woman. And so, you have to think that the pressure, as we've said, was something she could not handle. And so she did what she thought was the best. Coming over here and seeing Ken happy there with his wife in the house, which his mum and Dad brought him up in, you know, a bit tearful today, really, because, you know, when I came the first time, he was very, very upset. So was I. But I think Ken was even more upset because, I say, you know, it was his mother. Mine as well, but he spent a lifetime with us. I found it quite upsetting seeing him upset.
David's always felt a strong connection with his grandfather, Hrant Guleserian, an Armenian textiles merchant. He left Istanbul for Manchester in 1904. David and his wife Lorne have often wondered about his life.
Bloody hell, he was a handsome chap, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know, I've actually seen that one. That's Hrant, I presume.
Very elegant. Why don't you grow a moustache like that, David?
This obviously is him at home.
Look at the house, David.
Can't have been that old then, can he?
Very posh.
He came over to join his uncle who had already set up in business here, and obviously was doing quite well. I think they must have been in kind of a business family or a middle-class family. That's my mother there, you see, with a nanny in a pram. And this is the house. I knew he was, you know, quite well off or was a millionaire when he was in his 20s, but that's a very grand-looking place, isn't it?
Yes, I'd like one like that, David.
My grandfather still remains somewhat of a mystery. As a teenager growing up, I've always, rather silly I suppose, I've modelled myself on him in the sense that I don't know much about him. I know he was successful.
When Hrant came to Manchester, he joined a thriving Armenian community. The Christian Armenians faced persecution back in Turkey, and tens of thousands of families fled abroad. Many trading families, like the Gulisarians, saw business opportunities in Manchester. It was the industrial heart of Britain and the centre of the cotton industry. At the Armenian church in Manchester, David's arranged to meet Warden Tato Kuligian.
Tato, nice to meet you. I just wondered if there's any reference anywhere to my grandfather, Mr. Gulisarian, who lived within, I don't know where, somewhere perhaps in this area, but he may have come to this church, I don't know.
We've got records of all baptisms.
Oh, really?
Funerals, weddings.
Right.
So if he's had any of those done in this church, we have a record of it.
Right. This book records all the marriages.
Records of marriages, yes. Gulisarian, Jackson.
Blimey there, yes.
Hrant Gulisarian.
And his wife?
And his wife in English, Mary Adelaide.
Blimey, that's it, isn't it? Yes. What date was that? 30th? I'm a 60th.
30th August, 1917.
OK, so August 1917 he was married. He was married here at this church?
He was married in this church.
That's interesting. Now, I always knew that they were of a different age. She is 17 years of age.
That's right, yes.
How old was Hrant then? He was an older man?
29.
So he was about 12 years older. And the story goes that this young woman walked into his office and was this vision that he...
That's good.
There was this vision that he saw and he thought, I'm going to marry her.
Hrant and Mary Adelaide had 3 children. David's mother Eugenie, born in 1919, Jack in 1921, and Marie in 1923.
There's Eugenie
Blimey.
Gulisarian.
That's my mother.
She was born in 1919, 12th of September 1919.
Blimey. Oh, that's interesting. Warford House. Now, I've heard that name before. I think Marie told me that's where they lived, a country house. Warford House, Warford, Cheshire.
Warford House is still a private residence, now owned by Mari Greasley and her family.
Very nice to meet you. You're Maori?
I am, yes. Yes, and you must be David.
I am, yes.
Thank you. Would you like to come in?
I'd love to. How long have you lived here?
12 years.
Such a beautiful house.
Thank you.
That's a picture of the outside of the house.
Gosh.
That's the pony with my mother on it, and that looks like a nanny there. Several ladies here. I think one is her mother.
Yes.
Not sure who these other people are. Maybe they're members of staff.
Hrant lived the life of an English country gentleman. He and Mary Adelaide had horses and luxury cars and frequently entertained.
We have somebody who comes to do some work for us, and he told me that his grandmother used to work here. And he'd mentioned that also they had a lot of parties. They were really real party animals.
I think it was kind of house party time where they all came with their cars and their wives. And some of the photographs I've seen, there's some quite dandy-looking men with straw hats and Malacca canes and boating blazers with their wives, and they're gathered here.
But the happy times at Warford House were all too brief. During the 20s, Hrant's fortune started to decline, and tensions grew between him and Mary Adelaide.
I think not long after they had this house, they were going through stormy weather, I think.
Right.
I think the impression that I have got from my aunt, my mother's sister, and from other people. Yes, she tended to gad about a bit, and I should imagine that led to arguments and problems.
Mari shows David his grandfather's study.
A bit of a man's sanctuary in here, you know. You can imagine, perhaps a pedestal desk may be there, looking out onto the garden.
What's the children playing, or the ones they had here?
Yeah, well, I think at that stage, 1920, there really would have only been my mother, who was quite young.
This would have been the master bedroom.
Oh, yes, I think you're right.
That view out of that window is just amazing.
Well, there have been some fun and games went on here, I suppose, in this bedroom.
I dare say. Lots of rows followed by lots of making up, I suspect.
They hadn't been married long when they were here, 1920. They were probably only married about 3 years.
Right.
I'd like to think that their marital association hadn't deteriorated at this stage. He must have thought, well, I've well and truly made it now.
Hello, David. This is nice.
At 83, Marie is the only one of her aunt's 3 children still living. David wants to talk to her about his grandparents' relationship.
Where did you get this impression about your mum tripping the light fantastic and going out doing a bit of dancing and so forth?
Yes.
Where did you get that impression from?
Waiting for her to come in.
Really? I mean, what kind of time are we talking? Early hours of the morning, or...?
Well, when you're that age, you're not too certain of the hours, are you? I can remember her coming in, and I think I was sleeping with her.
I see.
I think that the marriage was beginning to show cracks.
Obviously taking separate bedrooms.
Yes.
Then.
Well, that was my impression, and she used to wake me up and say, "I'm here." And she said, "I've got a surprise for you. I've brought some chips."
Right.
I can remember that vividly.
That was a big treat then.
It was, but not at that time of the night, particularly.
So perhaps the early hours of the morning.
Yes, we can vividly remember the heated arguments.
Coming in late, I suppose.
Yes, coming in late and trying to explain. We could hear this going backwards and forwards. And it would get very heated, and it's rather distressing for 3 kids together.
The marriage was beyond repair. In 1935, the couple divorced. Her aunt was granted custody of the children.
When was the last time you recalled seeing your mother?
What would I be? Perhaps 9, 10 or 11, maybe. But I remember her mother, my grandmother, saying, "I've got a lovely surprise for you. We're going to go to Manchester."
Mrs. Jackson?
Yes.
Right.
I was told not to say a word. We went to Manchester and we walked into this tea room, and I was stopped in my tracks by seeing my mother sitting there smiling, and she just held her arms out to me, and we both had a cry, and she said, "Now you must not say a word of this to anybody, nobody at all." And I must have done, and I never ever saw her again.
Marie's childhood memories have been David's only source of information. But he still wants to know what was behind the rows between his grandparents, and why Mary Adelaide disappeared so completely. In the Manchester City Archives, he orders up the couple's divorce papers from 1935.
The respondent has frequently committed adultery. Interesting. She has recently committed adultery with Frederick Williams, whoever Frederick may be. Mary Adelaide, how can we say, distanced herself from her husband, perhaps in that 16 years they drifted apart. I think I'm trying to be as nice as possible. They drifted apart, the younger woman, the older man, and what can you say when your grandmother turns out to be a bit of a tart, I think, actually, it looks to me. Poor her aunt must have been distraught. I can also see here what state of mind Eugenie must have been in. And then having an affair with what appears to be a married man. Can you imagine going and trying and telling your father that in 1941? As bad as being with child was, can you imagine saying, I'm now pregnant by a married man. And he's just had his wife run off 6 years previously and had a divorce. No, I don't think you'd face up to that, and I don't think she could face up to it. And so it does bring into focus a little bit more clearly how my situation has developed.
Now David wants to find out more about his grandfather's textile business in Manchester and whether it had links to Istanbul. In the early 20th century, Manchester was the world's biggest cotton producer. Britain was exporting up to 7 billion yards of cotton a year. There were scores of textiles merchants like Hrant Guleserian, middlemen who bought materials wholesale and sold them throughout the world. At the Manchester Museum of Science and Industry, curator John Messner has some of Hrant's business records, including a list of his creditors from 1920.
That's a list of bills received or brought forward. So these are people who are paying the firm.
There's some quite substantial sums there.
There are, yes.
These are the sums of money they were dealing in. £33,077, £1,130, 900, 100, 1,200, 1,400.
So quite large amounts of money.
It looks to be a total here of something like £49,610, 10 shillings and 2p. Well, I would have thought £50,000 in 1920
was quite a bit of money.
Was a lot of money,
yes.
Serious money, you know.
In today's terms, this would amount to £1.3 million.
So we have some interesting information here. This is an address on Dickinson Street, right, strangely enough, of a BBS Guleserian. So this could possibly be a relative of your grandfather's.
This is 1896.
1896, that's right.
Guleserian BBS brothers. That could be part of the Guleserian family here in 1896. What's the next page?
The next page mentions 1908, a Guleserian Stepan, and on the final street directory we have for you, which is from 1923, it just mentions a H Guleserian.
Stepan may have been his uncle, but I think in 1923, shipping merchant H. Guleserian is Hrant. I'm rather intrigued by this Guleserian brothers because that could indicate there were other branches in other parts of the world. I'm kind of fingers crossed thinking, is there any records of Guleserian brothers in Istanbul?
The documents in the museum showed an address on Princess Street, where Hrant traded in the 1920s.
Well, that's where I used to work there.
In the 1960s, David worked on the same street, selling gentlemen's suiting fabrics.
56. All these buildings, I used to go a lot into this building here, and into this one, India House. That was all textiles. And for my lunch, I used to come across to these traffic lights, and on the right-hand side, used to be a little Indian restaurant that used to do a set menu, and so I'd come and have that nearly every day. He's listed as H. Guleserian of 86 Princess Street, so the little old boy would have been coming in and out here with his Homburg hat and going about his business, coining it by the sounds of it.
David knows Hrant's business was beginning to flounder when Mary Adelaide left him. He's invited over his cousin Mark, who he's never met before, to talk about Hrant's later years.
Are you Mark? Bloody hell. Good on you, mate.
Mark has information passed down from his father, Jack, Hrant's only son. When the cotton industry went into decline, Hrant's business suffered too. Over the years, his income dwindled. Eventually, he ended up living in a hotel room in Blackpool.
He died in '63, so I would have been 7 when he died. But
Yeah.
I met him when he moved to Blackpool.
Right.
To the hotel there.
Yeah.
I mean, I recall seeing him in a hotel bedroom. I remember that quite vividly.
So that's probably his quarters, you know, he's...
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have this memory of him, of going to see him when he was propped up in bed. The final hotel was in South Promenade in Blackpool, and that's where he died. And he was on his own, really. Talking about him, I have his diary here, a diary from 1956, but there's some quite interesting quotes in it as well. But he lists obviously part of his business, because he's talking about his clothing and who's got what. But there's a couple of interesting things here where he's got... strange, isn't it? Happiness is a positive acceptance of the will of God. And then there's some...
Was he a religious man?
I believe he was deeply Christian. My father writes saying that he was a very Christian man. Very Christian.
In 1963, Hrant became very ill, but stubbornly refused to tell his children. He died alone in the hotel in September of that year.
He left very, very specific instructions in his will, which I just read out to you here. No flowers, no mourners, no religious service, and his ashes to be scattered. Which is really, you know, I find it quite strange.
Reading the will, which Mark had, my gut instinct told me he got a bit embittered with life. The loss of his wife, I think it broke his heart.
Now David wants to discover what happened to Hrant's family back in Istanbul. This will be his first visit to his ancestors' homeland.
I mean, I'm looking forward to the journey. Is there any indication of the family business, the Gullisarian business, which might have been the Gullisarian brothers? I would suspect that's been swept away a long time ago. I know nothing.
Hrant Gullisarian left Istanbul in 1904. He told his family in England almost nothing about what he left behind.
My hopes are that some strands of the family still exist here in Istanbul, where Hrant came from.
When Hrant left, hostility between the Muslim Turks and Christian Armenians was reaching its peak.
There were persecutions, massacres of the Armenian community. A considerable number died, upwards of 1 million. My thoughts really are, did the remaining relatives, did they perish in that period? Did they go elsewhere? Or did they stay here? Who knows? There may be nothing here, I just don't know.
In 1915, the new Turkish nationalist government began the systematic removal of the Armenian population from the Ottoman Empire. Community leaders were executed. Women, children and the elderly were marched to concentration camps in the Syrian desert. Thousands died en route or were massacred by death squads. Most Turks believe the events were part of the general turmoil of World War I. For Armenians, they're known as the genocide. the issue is still highly sensitive. David's research won't be easy. State records in Turkey are difficult to access. So he's hired an Armenian historian, Ani Degemengian, to help him discover the fate of the Gulesarian family. Ani has suggested they search church archives which have thorough records of the Armenian community. David hopes to find evidence of her aunt's parents, Bogos and Hayganush Gulesarian. Arriving at Holy Trinity in Pera, they find themselves in the middle of an official visit by the head of the Armenian church.
Obviously, it's not the day to find records today. I mean...
No, definitely not, because see all these people, like they're all busy now, like waiting and getting really excited for Catholicos.
The Catholicos is a political as well as spiritual leader for the Armenians. His visit has caused some controversy, and after protest from Turkish nationalist groups, security is tight.
Catholicos is the equivalent of the Pope, and obviously they've waited a great deal of time to see him. It's the first time in 100 years, I think, he has been here. Very moving, you know. Very important to those people, I think.
While Annie tries to get access to some of the records, David waits outside the church.
I don't think she'll be very successful today because it's not a normal day. There are a lot of dignitaries here. I don't know.
Well, I wasn't that lucky, but I did find something for you. I took some notes because they wouldn't let me to take pictures. What I found is that Bogos Gulesarian, your grand-grandfather, has been at this church.
This church we've just come,
at
right?
This church.
Did he live in this area, do you think?
So I have an address. I have his address because in the records are kept quite detailed, and this is his address, Sakız Ağaç 64, which is close by to this area.
David and Annie head straight for Sakız Ağaç, where Bogos Gulesarian lived in the early 1900s. Though now run down, the street was once in the heart of an affluent neighborhood.
What number are we looking for?
We are looking for 64, and we are getting really close by.
68?
Yeah.
66?
66, so this is...
This 64?
This must be, yeah.
Quite a nice house that is, you know.
Biri yaşıyor mu orada? Ne zamandan beri boş? Çoktan beri.
I just asked her how long has it been that it's empty, and they say for a long time it's been empty.
Quite a nice house inside, you know.
Oh my God.
Tell you what, you can do a fantastic job on this, you know.
Evet.
Ashton is the owner near here, the landlord or the person who owns the property near here.
They're not very happy.
Yani kendi büyük babası burada oturmuş ve içeri girebilmek çok iyi olur.
Sahibi kızmış yani buranın.
Yaşlı bir kadındır ya.
Okay, it's an old lady who owns it, and she left the key
Anahtarı
with
vermeyin
them.
demiş.
Yeah.
Geçenlere vermişler, vermeyin demiş anahtarı. Onun için veremiyoruz. Yoksa aşırı...
Anladım. She left the key with them, but she told them to not to give it to anybody.
Okay, maybe we can buy the boys, everyone a beer.
Bir bira ısmarlarsak diyor, hepinize bakabilir miyiz buraya diyor.
Valla 200 tane de ısmarlarsa boştu. 200 tane de ısmarlarsa boş.
They won't be able to sell the key for the beer. Like not to sell the key, but
only
to sell
just
the...
to look. I mean, all we were saying was, can we go inside and have a look round? That's all we wanted to do. They were very suspicious.
Evet hacı saçmalama ya. Nereye kesiyorsun? Kes hadi.
Oh my God.
Nereye
I suppose
Bizim için yapmayın.
Seems that we've sparked a bit of an argument here that, you know, nobody really knows who owns the house. It might still be me. Maybe that's what's happening. Revisiting my great-grandfather's home today, it looked to me, perhaps I'm just fantasising, but it looked to me that no one's lived there since perhaps the 20s. If there are more Gullisarians around, you know, why have they not got that house?
A fax has arrived from England. David's cousin Mark has uncovered another family document. It's the funeral notice of David's great-grandfather, Bogos Gullisarian.
1919. So, that's interesting. That means that Bogos Gullisarian obviously survived here in Istanbul. At a quick glance, it seems there are quite a few relatives who attended the funeral. It mentions her aunt and his wife and infant, in brackets, in Manchester. And then you've got Mr. Leon H. Gullisarian. That seems that out there somewhere there's a few Gullisarians running around. Lead on this one.
According to the funeral notice, Bogos was buried at the Armenian cemetery at Shishli.
That's Bogos Gullisarian.
Unbelievable. And does it say where he is buried here?
Yes, this is the address of the grave. 7A72.
Number 7, A72.
Okay.
What is this? Is this the 7?
This is the 7, yes.
And what is the A?
It should be... The A, I cannot really interpret what the A is for, but this is 7A71.
Well, this is 72, huh?
This must be 72, and let me... I can't see anything on there. Let me check. This is 7A73. You can't read. This is not Gullisarian. This is Geranyan family. This is a family tomb, but it's not Gullisarian. The earliest death is from 1965.
So, after all the records, it's not here.
It is possible that there may be no members of the family who took care after the tomb, and
it's been sold again.
It's been sold again after a while. I mean...
Sounds a bit Gullisarian, that, to me. Been flogged off. So there is no plot.
But still, he is buried here at this spot.
Might even be stood on him.
Yeah.
When I saw the document prior to going into the cemetery, and there seemed to be quite a few strains of the family with children, and so my hopes were high. But then the plot allocated to the Gullisarian family had been taken over in the 60s by another family. You have to say, well, why is that? Why was it not tended? Is there no one here to tend it?
If there are living relatives in Istanbul, David hopes he might find them by advertising.
The Argos, please.
He's placing an advert in Argos, the most widely read Armenian language newspaper in the city.
Headline is Gullisarian family. I am looking for relatives of Bogos Gullisarian and Heganush Gullisarian.
David's next task is to find the Gullisarians' local church, so he can build a fuller picture of the family from the records. St. George's Church is in the heart of Samatya, one of the oldest Armenian neighbourhoods in Istanbul.
It's almost like seeing yourself in a way. very much like seeing my mother. When I looked around there, some of the faces, the eyes, some of the middle-aged women are very much like photographs I had of my natural mother. And there certainly is a look with this group of people.
After the service, in the scorching heat, David and Annie searched the church's baptism records for Hrant and his forebears.
And here it says
1888?
1888. That's Hrant.
That's Hrant?
Yeah.
So he was
Yeah.
baptized here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is the church of your grandfather.
Okay, it's getting more exciting now.
Yeah. And his godfather, Stepan Gulesaryan.
Well, Stepan rings a bell to me. The uncle of my grandfather.
Exactly.
Oh, he was also his godfather?
Yeah.
And his uncle?
Yeah. And his father, as we know, Bohos Gulesaryan.
We know that, yeah.
The Gulesarians must have lived in the area for many years. David and Annie soon come across records for an older generation of the family.
Here we have Levon Gulesaryan.
We have Levon?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is great information.
This is Bedros Gulesaryan.
Okay.
1864. The baptized kid is named Stepan.
Oh.
Yeah.
And who was Stepan's father?
Stepan's father was Harutyun. Harutyun Gulesaryan.
David's great-great-grandparents, Harutyun and Sofig Gulesaryan, had 4 sons: Levon, Stepan, Bedros, and Bogos, Hrant's father.
They were the old generation of this family, the Gulesarian family. What I think is interesting now, and it's only speculation, but when I looked at the textile records, the early records stated Gulesarian brothers. So it may well be that Stepan, Levon, Bogos, Bedros are the Gulesarian brothers. Not a bead of perspiration has fell on the young Armenian maiden's brow.
Now David's in search of the brothers' business in Istanbul. If he can find that, he may be able to trace surviving relatives. The Ottoman Bank Archives has trade records going back to the 19th century. Professor Ethem Eldem has discovered evidence of the Gulesarian brothers and their premises, or Han.
I think we have them in the 1890s. In 1896, for example, let's see. Gulesaryan, okay. Gulesaryan Frère. They're on Finjan Jalad Street. So number 46 is here, 4648.
Yeah.
So the Han would have been this Han, the Mustafa Pasha Han.
It's quite a big building, this, isn't it?
It is. It looks, from the map, like a typical 19th century commercial structure. And these are places where you would have workshops, offices. It's a bit like the an old equivalent of the shopping mall today.
The Gulesarian brothers appear in the records for 20 years. But from 1913, only 2 of them are listed, Stepan and Levon.
So when do we last see them in the directories?
I think 1925, Gulesaryan Leon.
Yeah.
So that's Levon.
Yeah.
Okay. And again, you have them at the same address. But that's when they disappear. If you look at the 1929 phone directory, and it's in Latin script, as you can see, looking at where the Gulesaryan should be, Gulbenkian, 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 Gulbolyan, and no Gulesaryan.
That's
they
strange,
seem to have
isn't it?
disappeared in somewhere around 1928.
Well, I'm trying to locate this Mustafa Pasha Han, the commercial building where the Gulesarian brothers were last trading. In fact, I think it's the last known address of Levan Gulesarian as well, so it is around here somewhere.
saffron, we have the best caviar, Iranian and Russian caviar, Beluga, Imperial.
Not me, man.
We have the best.
You know, if they haven't got it, you don't need it round here. I mean, they've got everything, haven't they?
David's established that the Gulasarians were successful textile traders working in the same building for 30 years. But why did their business stop trading so suddenly?
Oh. Is this Mustafa Pasha, Anne?
Mustafa Pasha, yeah.
Here. 46. My grandfather and great-grandfather were here at number 46.
46 number.
Gulasarian. About 1900, many years ago. 100 years ago.
He knows the traders in this building since 50 years before, because he's the owner of this place all
but
here.
It's 50 years before that. The atmosphere of it here, haven't you? This on with the central area here and the various galleries and all the fabrics, you know, draped about here, ready for trade. It's still going on, isn't it? Not much has changed here since 1900. It still puzzles me, knowing that these are trading people that have survived for such a long time under all kinds of conditions. The business seems to have ceased here in the 20s. It also goes into decline in England. I wonder if the two businesses are still joined.
Once again, David and Annie must trawl through church records to discover what happened to the brothers.
Here I have Stepan for you.
Okay, Stepan.
Stepan, yes, Stepan Gulasarian.
What year did he die?
He passed away in September the 18th.
1919.
1919, yes. And he actually passed away 1 month before Boros. Then we have
Levon or Bedros?
We have Levon here. And he passed away in the year 1926. And actually on the 31st of December, on the New Year's Day. I mean, the day
How old
before
was
New
he?
Year's Day. He was also 58.
Amazing. The last time we hear about them in the trade directories or even the telephone directories was 1926. So it seems really now that all the senior members of this family, you know, Borgos, Levon, Bedros and Stepan, certainly by 1926 they'd all passed away.
Yeah.
The deaths of all four Gulasarian brothers meant the end of the business in Istanbul. But other than Bogos, do any of them have descendants? David's convinced that at least one of the brothers must have a living relative. He's going to check if the advert in the Armenian newspaper has had a response.
Are you Maida?
Yes.
I'm David Dickinson, Maida. How are you?
Oh,
Nice to meet you.
You too. I think I have a good news for you.
Oh, fantastic.
I think so, yeah. I had a phone call yesterday from a man called Hacı Güleser.
What was his name?
Güleser. You must go meet him.
Fantastic.
You must go meet him.
Yeah, before I thought, you know, a little bit, we won't find anybody, but now on the last day, suddenly we have found somebody. Very exciting.
David's newfound relative, Hacı Güleser, is a third cousin. Hacı works as a jeweller in Istanbul's famous Grand Bazaar.
How are you? My name is David, sir. I'm very pleased to meet you. I think I'm your cousin.
Yeah, exactly.
Good man.
Oh.
Good man.
Thank you.
I bring you best wishes from 3 other cousins and myself. 4 cousins in England. My little notes tell me this, dear cousin.
Bogos, yes.
Is my great-grandfather.
Yes.
He is one of the 4 Galisarian brothers of Livan, Bedros, and Stefan.
Stefan.
Okay. Now, your great-grandfather was Bedros.
Yes.
Hajik is the great-grandson of Bedros Galisarian. Following the Armenian persecutions, his family changed their name to Gulaser to sound more Turkish.
Do you have photographs of the family?
Yes. Look, David.
Right.
This is my grandmother's Eugenie.
Another Eugenie.
And this is my grandfather, Hajik.
Fantastic. And look at that, the Astrakhan collar.
Astrakhan, yeah, Astrakhan.
Now, what business was he here?
In textiles.
Textiles,
yeah.
yes.
But 37 years old, not too much.
Hajik's grandfather, also named Hajik, died of an illness contracted on the battlefield in World War I. His father, Bedros, also died young. He drowned in a shipwreck on the way to visit her aunt in England. Sadly, Hajik has no information about the other Galisarian brothers. If there are other descendants of the family, they've disappeared from Istanbul without trace.
It's been wonderful finding this long, long journey. Been amazing to find somebody. Yeah. Because there's not many of us left, obviously.
After the death of the Galisarian brothers in Istanbul, David's grandfather, Hrant, carried on the family business alone in Manchester for another 37 years. When he died in 1963, the business died with him.
Most people will have their mother and father and will know their roots and never question them. In my case, there's always been a question. Now the circle is completed, as far as I'm concerned. It's put to bed. It's put to rest. I'm not really a Dickinson. I'm definitely a Galisarian. I don't know if you inherit it. I can't tell you that. Do I inherit the genes for the Galisarians? They are a little bit individually tough. You can sense that. I can see the slight toughness. It's in me. I had to go to the tip and to the scrapyard and buy wheels and sell the things to get started on my money. The interesting thing is, without being gauche about it, I've probably wound up the strongest commercially out of all of them. But always, perhaps, since I was 11, I've been chasing the Galisarian name. Perhaps I've been trying to prove something.